everyone. Happy Sunday. First and foremost, I'd like to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So I'm making this video because I got requested on After Hour to go over certain tickers and make projections on what to be looking for Monday, right? So I'm going to go over SPY and QQQ for myself, but I'm going to start off with SOFI and then MU and NVDA because those were like three of the requested ones on my post. So hopefully I can provide some good information on that. So yeah, I'm just going to start off right here and just get right into it with SoFi. And maybe if I have time by the end of the video, I'll probably go over Microsoft because it seems like they might be a good buying opportunity since its recent breakout, right? So the first thing I'd like to see is the year-to-date chart, and I am on a day chart for the year-to-date. So this is what price has been doing since the beginning of the year. The first thing I noticed was that it topped out already at the beginning of the year for SoFi, like this top wick over here. I don't know why I think so. Yeah, I'd like to mark out that as the high of the year, which is $10.49. And then what I also noticed is that orders never got filled at a certain price. And you can kind of see later on, a few days later, that they eventually do get filled. So like anytime you notice a gap on any chart, just recognize there's a high chance that that will get filled. Like the price will eventually like find its way back to it to fill that zone of unfilled liquidity. And then down over here, you see this gap. The next 4 days, it gets filled. And this gap up here, and then the next 3 days that gets filled. And then what's interesting right here is if there is potentially a breakout, there is a chance that price could get back to this top wick would be $8.20. If you're extremely bullish, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to $8.50. So I'll just mark out these gaps with a tool that I created, which is pretty much like my fair value gap tool. But let me just move this over here. So I use the Gannon extension to make my fair value gaps. It's basically this guy who's like a mathematician, somewhat like Fibonacci and not Gannon, sorry, correct me. And I just mark out this zone. So from the bottom wick of that bearish candle to the top wick of this bearish candle. I like to keep that zone like just in my mind because I know that's probably where price would like to test, which it did in these two separate occasions. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 days of the year where price tested that. And then I'll also do the bottom of this bearish body to the top wick of this bearish candle, right? So we got like 2 zones of liquidity that we can see price testing. And then there's kind of this OB right here on the past 2 days where orders were getting filled at like I can draw a line right there actually. We can see what that looks like on a lower time frame. So I'll put a horizontal line right here where it touches basically both those candles wicks, the bottom and the top of both those bearish candles. And you can kind of see what I'm looking at. So you can kind of see how it kisses both of those wicks right there. I wouldn't be surprised if that order block gets tested. What I do not like about this chart, though, is how it's bearish. Anything that's bearish can be pretty risky, but I wouldn't say that there isn't any opportunity here. Given the current trend on the year-to-date, a long-term put would probably be smart, but you would look to be getting in after, say, this zone or this zone gets tested for a long-term put, right? So I'd say now I can just mark out levels, right? And then I'd say this is a level which would be resistance. And then the current level that was just broken would be like down low there. And then I'll give these like thicker lines so we can know where price has been consolidating for a bit, right? And this has pretty much been the range for SoFi for most of the year. It's trickling up and down, reaching a high of like $8 and reaching a low of like $6.50, $6.60, right? And then currently price is sitting at 46. And as of the past 3 previous days, it has been bearish after a run of 4 days, but it never really broke this high right over here. So I can mark out this top wick just so I don't have to do it on a lower time frame. So you can kind of see that get kissed right there. And then I can mark out the bottom wick of current price, which is the low of the most recent day. And then I'll also mark out the order block of these two, which is above the lower order block I pointed out, which is down here. So now let's just pull up a 5-day and see what all of this looks like, right? So the most recent zone of interest on the bullish side is sitting right above the current year-to-date range. I can just drag that out so we can just see more of that, right? Hopefully I didn't ruin it. All we need to make sure is that this bottom right here is what stays consistent. So that didn't move. And to get a better visual on price action, just give me 1 second. So this is kind of interesting. We kind of see this large sell-off allowing the EMAs to just expand. And anytime there's expansion between moving averages, you can kind of get an idea that it's a very strong trend currently going on. We're looking at a downward trend on the 5-minute from the past 2 previous days. And then we also have like the high of a Thursday marked, and then we also have the high of Friday marked, and both days have been this consistent pattern, right? And then I'm assuming that the day before, that pattern kind of emerged from this bullish run, which I'd probably consider unusual data, because just looking from what I'm seeing on this lower time frame, this breakout, I'm not really seeing that consistently. You can kind of see like just price ticker a little bit, and then like this downward momentum here triggering this buying. And people probably at the beginning of this day thinking, oh, that's a perfect discount from what I'm seeing. If I pull up SOFI on Wall Street Journal, I'll pull it up on a different tab over here. Honestly, I'll just pull up on this QQQ tab. And just give us a brief idea of what Wall Street thinks about this. And then we can also just look at like options activity too, from like Wall Street Journal's end. But when I get an idea, when I try to get a look at what people in finance in New York are thinking about this place, or just this ticker, or any ticker that I'm looking at, I like to use Wall Street Journal. So it seems that 3 months ago there was like more people, like a 4-2 on the sell side, but then overall, majority of people are saying this as a hold, meaning that they do see a lot of upside towards this investment, right? This is just letting you know that currently no one's telling you from just analytics and historical data that it would be a good time to get in, from just the potential move that this has a lot more downtrend potential. But they're not saying to get out, which just means like there is a chance that it will hit a bottom, right? But then eventually you can see like this get update at some point in the future where all these analysts that are saying hold, the majority, like kind of shift upward towards a buy or sell, depending on if it breaks a certain target that they're thinking. So like price targets for SoFi from, I don't know how many analysts they have here, right? 4, 5, 16, 19. So 19 analysts in total. The medium of those 19 analysts say $9 is a good price target. The average is saying that 853 is a good target, and the current price right now is 646. What's very interesting is that the current price is sitting further away from the low and closer to the high. So I guess that's something to pay attention to. So yeah, I'll just pull up the chart again. So then I could pull up my fib extension. That's Yeah, that's a forecast. I could pull up a fib retracement, and then I'll just use the default one so it could be more accurate, but sometimes I just don't trust any default extension, right? So we see like in these two levels of support and resistance where price consolidated pre-market, this zone gets tapped right here. And then judging from where it's currently headed, so like price down here being the median, trickles all the way down to this zone. Yeah, I don't like the current fit. I'll change this to my fib because it kind of gives more levels and just gives a better understanding, right? So this zone gets tapped here, and I'll draw a line from the fib, and hopefully my lines are already placed golden. So this standard deviation gets hit, and then the price consolidated. The top of this gets hit on that, and then the price is bottoming, right? I wouldn't be surprised if 2.382, that standard deviation, gets touched pre-market, and then it consolidates. Like, see how it consolidated here? I could see it consolidating. I don't have a fib in this area, right? But just to give it a little bit more like range, I could just assume that this is kind of what we're going to look at pre-market, right? To do that. It's all throughout pre-market. You never know though. And then like throughout the day, it could just do the same move that you can see these expanding EMAs each day have been doing. And that would mean it gets to a low of 6.10, which is still significantly far away from the low of what analysts are saying, which is around the $4 mark. I'm going to go over here and write out the $4 mark. Like, analysts are saying that that would probably be a great signal, like, to sell, honestly, because of the current year-to-date trend. But anyone thinking inversely would be like, okay, if there is upside to this, if there is going to be momentum, or if there is still potential in SOFI just from their balance sheet and their income statements, you can kind of be like, okay, that's probably a perfect time to buy and go long for the year or for a 2 year, if anything. But if it gets that level and you're getting in and you see this just movement continuing, that current trend that's been going on, right? Then it would probably be safe to say that it hasn't found the bottom yet. So I'm going to draw a zone for tomorrow. That would probably be a good look at like what we got from just historic data. And it just seems like if I pull up a year to date, I'm going to go on a higher time frame real quick. It seems like my standard deviation, like the lowest on it, for so a very large move. If we're thinking it's going to be a very large bearish day, and this was in March, but this is prior to April. This is prior to the April like bearish ass month, right? These two candles, like, they consistently look the same. And then like what I drew just as a prediction, if we're gonna think that like some fair value gap or anything would be forming, just from like a prediction alone, like I could see this 3 standard deviation being hit. So I'd mark a low on Monday, just to give like a range on the day for this at 6, probably like 6. Hold on, let me see. Give that thickness. So it seems like that low is already. Oh, that's not my. Is that a candle? Yeah, no, that's a candle. Okay. So I'm thinking, just to be safe, I'll put it right between these two standard deviations. And honestly, since 6 is already um, a psychological zone, I think 6 flat would probably be the bottom of the day. And just to be like fair, halfway into the 2 standard deviation would probably be like a good range right there. To see a candle form in the body, simply just be this bearish or bullish, right? So then I can pull up the 1 day and we can see what that range would look like on a 1 day. The range I drew. See it draw, pop up, taking a second to load. So the range right here, I'm thinking, and just from historic data, I could just give it a visual. So I can do a Gannon box from the movement of this day to where it closed, right? And just track all the price. And then I could just drag this box over here, which is open would probably be at, I'm not at 3, but 4, 5, 6. So open would be right over here at like 6:30, right? And then thinking if it continues this trend, well, that's the top of my range right there. And then the bottom, I'll just expand it. I'd consider that a good zone of interest for the day, thinking that price will stay in this zone for Monday. And I could probably just expand it over here. And then I just drag this box all the way out over here. But in terms of bullish momentum, if I pull up the year to date again, and you can kind of see there were certain days where, so yeah, that's kind of what it would look like on a high time frame. That's the zone you're looking for the day. This move right here, and in my opinion, to move to MU. MU is one of the semiconductors under the NVIDIA umbrella. So any movement with NVIDIA, MU is not really like synonymous with it, but it does factor into NVIDIA's moves. So this chart is looking a little better in terms of going long. If I pull up a year to date, yeah, it's looking very bullish. So like I said in that previous, any zone that hasn't been tapped, right? You can expect price, and timing it is probably the hardest thing to do, and I wouldn't recommend it because you could lose a lot of money thinking you can time something. But there's this complete gap right here from that was made last week after this very bullish run overall, and then you can see this top being made. So I can draw that being something that will obviously be tested if it continues this bullish run. What I like about this though on the year to date is price is just resting right above the EMAs, right? There's a little deviation from this EMA here. I'm assuming that's like probably the 50 day or the 20 day. Yeah. So the 20-day EMA is like there's a little deviation from current price to it. And what you can notice is whenever there's large deviation from EMA, price eventually kind of like tests it. And it seems like the last time that the 50 EMA, which is this orange one, got tested, it bounced right off that. So you can kind of see these residual levels of support with the moving average. And like off of them expanding right here, it seems like year to date, MU's running. I haven't looked at this ticker, but it's looking fairly bullish. And then we could also just get like a little fundamental look at it, just peak fundamentals, see what foundation your trade will be standing on in terms of what analysts believe, right? Go to research and rating. Yeah, this is probably like my back office go to. Okay, yeah, bullish. Look at that. So you got 28. Let me see how many analysts are looking. And the fact that analysts are looking at this at like this amount, that lets you know MU something to pay attention. And then just like a long haul on it. So there's like 38 analysts looking at it compared to SOFI. So it seems like SOFI is not really getting attention from analysts on Wall Street, just from Wall Street Journal's sources, right? but that could also be akin to the fact that like it's on a bearish trend, and in just comparison. But so 3 months ago, it was considered overweight, and that was just basically like this is something that's undervalued. But now they're thinking that like it's at a decent level where the lows like the lowest is a 105, and then the high. No one's thinking that low is going to get tapped. That's interesting that they still have that. Current price is here. So 147.36. We can mark out the price target 147.36 and see where it looks like on this chart. Yeah, they think this one has a lot of room to run left for the year. 147. Okay. Just from the current trend, right? What we see. Let's see what this does, right? So we get this EMA get tapped, and then last time this EMA got tested, like the previous low was here. To be like safe, September, this will definitely be at that price target. Um, like I said, with it deviating from the current trend, price is eventually going to test these EMAs. And I can kind of just like on the year to date, this has nothing to do with what I expect tomorrow, even though we marked out that zone of interest. I could see price eventually just trickling back down, testing, maybe not even going below, but worst case scenario, it goes a little bit below and that forms like a bottom wick, and then it trickles off that. And then it's like making lower lows and higher highs, right? But you can leave that there. It doesn't really matter. So lower time frame, let's see what we're looking at. You can kind of see that gap zone that we had drawn out right there. And then past three, like there's been a slight range break from that zone. But then from overnight Friday. Wait, what? Yeah. No, yeah. From pre-market Friday and then Friday, it's been trickling downward. See, here's the thing. So, like, NVIDIA ran a lot, and that's because there's a bunch of semiconductor companies under the umbrella. So, what's interesting about it, and then you can kind of see, like, that drawing on the day, just from looking at the day chart, what I could be expecting. But I left that trend line, right? So, that's the trend line we drew on the higher time frame. And that's like a moving residual level of support currently. Um, I can just chart this up, look at the highs and lows from the past 5 day. There we go. So a good range I'd like to set for Monday would probably be the 144.22. That was the high of the week last week. And then yesterday's low. Yesterday's low was like pretty much, oh no, actually. This low right here is something to pay attention to. So I'd say a range to pay attention to for MU was 144.21 and 137.47. Just looking at where price consolidates at, like right below and where current price is sitting, I can see the I can see 140.71 getting tested. I could also see 141.06 to the top of this consolidation area of 142.24 getting tested. I can see a lot of things getting tested here, right? And then this big move right here. So another zone of interest that's like perfect. And then I'm going to mark out where I see an EMA crossing, which would signal like a bearish downtrend for these zones. So right here, this crossing overall, where these three EMAs cross, and then eventually this red cross right here, and I kind of had a zone marked out at 141.60. But where most of these cross right here, I could see this 142. 41 getting tested. So price is kind of sitting in a healthy zone in between these areas that we can see getting tested. overall, I'm gonna get rid of this like higher time frame projection because I know eventually it's gonna test one of the EMAs. That doesn't mean it's gonna do it Monday, right? And usually, um, Monday is it's usually something people are looking to get in, right? And then they don't have to worry, and investors don't have to worry about some economic report coming out Monday. So the probability, and like in my head, of this being bullish, if there's a healthy like retracement in the morning, and I see this zone over here, like so it's gonna be. I'm assuming it's gonna be like flat, and then this zone gets tested, and then I could see it going as low as this. I don't see it going any lower, me personally. And I just see a healthy run for the rest of the day, and then price could probably just sit over here, right? So overall, I'd be looking at a zone of interest at 140.20, um, on like to get in long in my space, like in my head. Okay, NVIDIA now. Let's try to keep this video something people are willing to watch because my last video was long. It was very long. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know why my thing is like all the way gone. Okay. So NVIDIA. I'll make a separate video for SPY and QQQ, honestly, because I do want to go over Microsoft as well. NVIDIA has a lot of gaps, but this is what I hate about NVIDIA. There's so many occasions where, like, sure, this gap got tested, but like, there's definitely manipulation here so that this gap doesn't get tested throughout the day, because you can kind of see that this day was flat, and because it didn't go all the way down was because pre-market they did some weird ordering activity to fill this gap, right? So that like zone of interest and like liquidity doesn't get hit. This is very interesting. On this high time frame, I like to. So we're on a very bullish bias, and if you can look at just like the overall, like this chart is massive. It's crazy. I'll show you guys where I got in on my calls for NVIDIA, and I'm hoping for this level to hold. But I was Friday. Let me go to the one day because I know exactly where I got in. So yeah, bro, I got in like right here. So like this zone right over here for calls. I ran up a pretty decent bag, and you can imagine what was going through my mind when I held through this. I guess, and like currently I'm like losing money on it just a little bit. I'm still in the green, but it was just terrifying. Oh my god, like holding through this on Nvidia. I'm just like, dude, I ran up a bag, and my dumb greedy ass, like when it did this, I got happy. But as soon as I saw these candles form right here, and then this, oh, I was tripping. I was tripping, but we diamond hands it. Like we didn't get scared. We just stepped away. We just turned off the computer, smoked a cigarette, we left. I think that's the smartest thing to do when you have a strong thesis and you're being questioned by just price action. At the end of the day, it's how strong you believe about your opinion. So there's an order block up here, and then this low on the day. I like how I marked that zone. That can definitely get tested, which is terrifying. But there are zones of consolidation that I'd like to mark out because those are where people get in. And since there's like historic data of just consolidation and then people getting out and in these certain areas, right? Like a person who's holding will be like, okay, I'm breaking even right now. I can double down, right? So you can expect price to react off of these consistent consolidating. What I like up here, from this signal to sell all the way to this bottom. So we got a lot of liquidity, external liquidity sitting above current price. That could do a number of things. And then this level of liquidity also extends back to the previous day on Friday. Because you can kind of see price just consolidate up here. And then one could argue that I could drag this down a little bit to where current price is. But most of the consolidating at the end of Friday was that. So I can mark out what I think would be consistent for NVIDIA. You guys want to see what my high target for tomorrow for NVIDIA is? Simply because I know NVIDIA, right? So like anyone who's being like smart about any other ticker would make like 132.50 like the high, and then 131.20 the high. But this is NVIDIA, keep in mind. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna be realistic. Like this thing could go to like I'm gonna be realistic slash like modest. Like this thing can run up to like 350. Like that would definitely be a high. But overall, this is what I see NVIDIA doing. Let me pull up my got gotta move my bear around. Kind of annoying. It doesn't fit the screen. I'll do a fib retracement on so this sell off of use my French. This sell off and then my fib retracement right here. This sell off to this bottom, and then price consolidating at this standard deviation, and then where price is currently at is way below this. I'm assuming that, so if I do a fib from here though, watch from that run from the run, price is pretty much sitting at the 0.786 standard deviation on my fib retracement. This run up on Friday, right? Oh, I didn't even look at the entirety of Friday. Hold on. Can definitely get a more accurate look at this. I'm gonna move this bear. Like, can I get rid of him? Okay, good. I got rid of him. Okay. It does have room to bottom out, and I could definitely see it retracing probably into this zone for sure. I marked the top of the zone, but to be more, since this boy is very volatile, price moves a lot. I'll make that gold, and then I'll make it larger, make it obvious that this is a zone of interest. So that could be my range right there. That healthy pullback would definitely signal a run to 133, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But currently, from overnight, this healthy pullback, let's do this top right here to current price. You can kind of see that this standard deviation, it's sitting between these two standard deviations before even making this retracement, right? And then from this run, so the 2 standard deviation is exactly on the zone of interest for the range. So I'd mark the range for NVIDIA, and I'll put out a Gannon box so you can kind of see what I'm going to expect price to do throughout the day. It's just going to sit in this area. And hopefully you're looking over here to see what numbers I have up. Okay, the last ticker for this video, we're going to do, I'm not going to pull it. I'll just do it on a different chart. See, anytime I try to pull up a new tab, right, it's lagging. So I'm going to do you. We're going to look at why did I see this is funny. TradingView is not the first one to pull up, even though I bet it's probably the most important thing and the only thing people are looking for. I drink some coffee while I wait for my crusty ass computer to load. I have a GoFundMe. Help me out. Computer's broken. Where is Microsoft? I think I've charted a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't look too weird. Okay, good. I haven't charted it. Perfect. So I'm thinking I won't spend too much time. What my brother's seeing, right, is this breakout right here. Wait, hold on, the 5-day. There's definitely a breakout on the 5. No, Let's go to the year to date. Let's see what so the breakout right here is what's making my brother bullish as AF. But it fails to make a lower low on the on the pullback on this day chart, and currently it's doing a consistent run. And this is probably what this loser did. Look what I'm about to do. This is probably what he did. It's not like a Gannon box. I'm gonna draw a box up. This dude just thinking, because this dude does like measurements and shit. So he did that for sure. And then he was like, okay, I'm gonna look at how much that. And then he did this. After this pullback, he parks at the bottom. He's like, okay, it's probably gonna go to 455 in the next 1, 2, 3. In the next week, Microsoft could be at 455. But for Monday, there's no way it's doing that Monday. There's no way. There's no flipping way. And you can kind of see that, like from the box I drew, it's sitting in the zone 455 to the bullish bias of the previous retracement. So I'm on the 1 minute. Let's expand this. And it's just sitting in the zone, right? I'll do SPY on QQQ, and I'll upload that later today. Say something in the chat. Let me know if you want to see my SPY and QQQ predictions, because that's probably the only thing I'll be paying attention to. That and NVIDIA. Someone on After Hour brought up Disney, and apparently like there's some cool stuff in China going on with that, and like Disney's at a discount right now, so I think Disney can run Monday. So calls on Disney would probably be cool. If I go to like historical data for Disney, sorry, I'm kind of getting on track. Hopefully no blue blah on Disney's historical data. Okay, so market cap, historical data. So yeah, Friday 14 it peaked. So what's good to know is volatility hasn't peaked for Disney, and Disney's currently at a discount. And that's probably the reason why it was flat. This is considerably flat. Like 0.1 up or down is flat. There's no major sell off. And then the adjusted close was $99. 99, but and since it's so I could see Disney probably reaching a low today of 99.5 just from eyeballing historical data. And then it could reach a high of 100, and that would probably be where I'm looking to go long after it like finds a bottom on the day. Or it could just be a complete trend day and like is immediate from open, like opens the lowest. So that would be risky in terms of waiting, and you might lose your opportunity there. But there was a $4 day here, more like a $3 day, but still, or 2.5, and that's like peak volatility. And since there's like good PR coming out about Disney, let's leave it. So that's great news. It's an hour. Yeah, I'm gonna place calls on Disney. Scratch that. I'm I'm gonna play Disney tomorrow. Thank you, C-Sig, for bringing that up. You told me about Disney being bullish a while ago. I'm just stupid for not listening. Okay, and then that seems like, yeah, that's perfect. These are all equal highs, and then you can see price tap the high of Tuesday, and then trickle down. But like these, I see like the highs getting tested more than lows on Microsoft. So I can see why being fairly bullish here is good. And then this healthy pullback, like during post market and pre market and overnight trading, it was pretty good. And then I could assume the same thing currently from what's going on over here with Microsoft. I'm gonna do not Elliot's wave, but it's my ghost feed, right? Okay, that's the tool for like making projections. I can see pre-market just being like that, testing this low at the close, even though that's probably like the low on the day. So I'll adjust it. What would be a good range? It would, yeah. If we're all thinking bullish overall for this Monday, there's a slight chance that's like it's a high probability. This is not even. Hold on, be patient with me. This 1 minute is annoying. I'm thinking I'm on a different time frame. It doesn't seem to be consistent for Microsoft to be flat like certain tickers I look at overnight. It seems like a lot of movement occurs overnight. No, I guess no one likes. And then what I like about this is Microsoft consistently from like historical data like the previous week, it'll show you the trend of the day before the day begins. I feel like setting a range on Microsoft from like the current moves of the pre-market and post-market would be a good way to set a range, because look, top of this is where those highs go and the bottom is the bottom of the pre, and then same for this day. Top of this is closer to these highs, right? And the bottom is pretty much like nowhere to be found, and it's only tested once. And then like this trend day here, the bottom over here is at the beginning pre-market. At the beginning of the day, and then the top pre-market gets tested, and then it's eventually broken out. And then this top over here gets tested after this bottom at open. And then look, like this upward trend right here is signaling the upward trend here. And this downtrend only consists for like 2 seconds, but this was a run. So overall, it just looks like, in terms of like investor moves, like people like market makers who decide to get in and have like special certificates to do certain positions before core trading hours or daily hours. Say you have like a long-term options certificate because you're a fucking hedge fund and you can play big money shit, right? You're probably getting in. And like so 445 is no way. Could this hit 443 today? Let's look at. Are you honestly? So yeah, I'm gonna just piss my brother off and be like, okay, this is getting tapped. Like overnight, I can see this happening. 4, 5, 6, 6:30. So I can see that being the move until market open over here, and then we can kind of see like this zone, right? And then like from this trickles in the zone, breaks it, trickles back in it, and then goes here. Just test this area. So I already kind of got the high and low marked for what I'm expecting for the day. The high being probably 443.15, closer to the psychological level of 443, and then 443.50, and then the bottom being exactly 437.25, right? So yeah, that's my predictions. So I covered SoFi. Ultimately, I feel like there might be a bearish move. MU, it's looking very bullish. We got 38 analysts saying that this thing will probably, and then my trend on the higher time frame, just being very suggestive and letting me believe that MU will definitely be where analysts are saying it's going to be, all the way up here at around September, which would be 147 if it sticks to the current trend and the bullish trend it's in. But also to preface, like it will tap these EMAs on this higher time frame eventually, so there will be a pullback eventually on that. And then NVIDIA being annoying as hell, right? And then ultimately knowing that NVIDIA is like crazy. Just a larger range in general, with the high being 133.50 and then the low being 130.50 from just regular price action. And that's just me being, I may have a bias there simply because I already have orders placed and everything, but that's just everything I'm seeing. And then Microsoft seems like just from data, like overnight pre-market, like there'll be like a slight pullback anyone who's getting in long here, and like anyone who's getting in long down here, right, and they held through this day, if there's a pullback pre-market or anything, they're not going to want it to reach this level, so they probably get out a little bit, or just like let it ride for the day, since those people are usually smart. And then I'm marking the high range of Microsoft at 443.40 because of Wednesday's high. And then I'm marking the low of it at 437.22 on Friday's low at open. And Disney looks like it's about to like pop. But yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any other tickers you'd like me to review before market open Monday. So I do have all day to do this. I just want to say I appreciate everyone and have a good day.